Raymond, when he retired, bought a van, and he's fitted it out with sink and cupboards and things like that. But we do have a tent, so you'll get to see all of that. and we just took it for a test run, really, just to see what we'd think of it and what we like. So we ended up going to the Lake District, and we called in at Beatrix Potter's. Anyone who knows Beatrix, she wrote all the Peter the Rabbit and things like that. Books, the little books for children. Anyway, so I went up to the cottage. I went in, had a look round, went into her garden. So you'll see all of the photographs, and I'm going to take you through. This was just some of the countryside up at the lakes where we were. We also stayed at, where did we stay? Went to Windermere, and then we left there and we ended up staying at another place, which you'll see in a minute. But again, this is just some of the countryside. Absolutely beautiful. Lots of hills, mountains and whatever to climb. The scenery was fantastic. Roads were pretty clear. Not bad. I liked all the moss on the rocks now, but that was a little bit blurred there because this was the Windermere. Because we were driving. Well, Ray was driving when I was taking these pictures, and he don't drive slow. We did get some cloud and rain. In fact, we had quite a lot while we were away, but it didn't stop us enjoying ourselves. We really did like it. I love all the old buildings we go past. This was the log house. Nice holiday homes. This was an old building that we saw. I've got to look it up yet to see what it's about. But all the greenery had grown up around the house and that. And you'll see a front on view properly later when because Ray stopped the van for me to take a picture. That's the back view of it. They're quite big buildings, some of these. That was the side view. But because we were in the car, it's really hard to take pictures. That's as best I can get that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I could live in that. And if Julia had been here, she'd have said the same thing. That's what we used to do, me and her. We'd see nice homes and say, oh, I could live in that. I think there was a name there. Let me just see what it's called. Crag End, I think. I think it says there, Crag End. So I'll look that up and find out some information about it. We took the dogs for a walk down by the beach. And it was just a really... you couldn't walk on any of this. We walked on this pathway here. But you couldn't walk on any of this because it was all like mud. So it was and it had been raining heavy the night before. But the views were nice. There they are. It was a nice sunny day, but very windy. We did let them off the lead because there was nobody else about. And this path went right back from here and went round that corner and up to the end there, near the end there. And we took them for a nice long walk. That's lucky. Coming to see what I was doing. And Joey waiting for his dad. They go so far, they walk up on their own. Like I said, they're not on the leads. And then they stand and wait for us to catch up to them. Bless them. But you can see how far it went up this lane. Track. That was on the way back. They just stand and wait for us. They're really good. And they were very good while we were away. Apart from wanting to go for a walk constantly. That's that house again, look. Gorgeous. Love it. I'll have to see what I can find out about it. More hills. As you can see, we did have some sunny weather. Oh, and this was a place, it belongs to the National Trust. We didn't actually go in it. That's a castle. And the Mews part there. But we did go into their shop that's close by. And it was nice. It was just too busy. So we only took some photos like that there. That was part of the organic raw milk shop. some of the town. And this was Strickland Court at Windermere Road. But I just loved the greenery and the old-fashioned buildings. Another building. I wasn't sure if that was real wisteria. I couldn't make it out. Probably, well, I mean, it could be. I don't know. But it looked lovely, so I took a picture. Unfortunately, whenever you want to take a picture these days, there's always somebody building something and they spoil the view. But I was taking a picture of these cottages here, and this was the lake here. But it was absolutely beautiful area. The Swan Hotel and Spa. This was a beautiful, it's all owned by Beatrix Potter. She bought all the land around. She bought, I think it was 15 farms, so for 4,000 acres. And so she ended up owning everything that was built onto the land as well. But she did work with the National Trust. Now, a lot of people just know her for writing her books. What they don't know about her is that she was a businesswoman as well. Besides writing books, she owned the farm, Hilltop Farm. Let me just move on to the next picture. Now, this was coming up to where her cottage was. You go up this lane here, and just in front of left of that hedge was a green gate, and you go through that into the back. And at the back of here, which is this one up here, is where she lived. But she owned all of this. She didn't actually, she did sometimes stay at the house, but across the road from here, over the field, was a castle, I think it's Castlegate House. She actually lived there once she got married. But she went every day, walked across the field, cut across the road, walked up her path into the back of her property, into the house, and then she'd work on her books and letters and whatnot. So, and she did it every day, so that she was up. That's the house. She built this extension on, because that was the house on its own, but she built this extension on for I think the name was Coniston family that lived there. When she bought the house, she built this on for them to be living there, so they didn't get kicked out or anything. She was very good to her tenants as well. And if times were hard, she used to help them out. This was, the front door was directly onto her garden. I mean, it was as you can see, it's all wild. And that's how she liked it. She would put fruit trees next to some, you know, vegetables. She didn't care. She just did all kinds of things like that. Inside the house, of course, is all dark wood, aged, you know, I mean, it's a cottage. It's been there a long, long time. But this is exactly as she had it when she was alive. So a spinning wheel, her chair, the old fireplace. It's pretty dark, but you can see a hat. Excuse me. More chairs, obviously. This was a sideboard with a, you know, pottery on it. That was a big old chest, but she mixed back then what would be modern and what would be old. These were her paintings on her plates. And in this room upstairs, I think yes, upstairs, it was the drawing room. This is where she'd meet people who if she didn't really know them, she'd take them up to a table and sit with them and chat there. All the windows had window seats like that, and you could sit on them, and you weren't allowed to sit on the furniture, obviously, but you could sit on them and look out. But all her family things, her heirlooms and that she had from her parents and grandparents, she kept and she put in this cottage. That were one of the places where she'd sit and write. Family coat of arms. That was her kitchen. Very basic. And some more information about where is the bathroom. And there's always more to learn at Hilltop. So there's quite a bit of history. I've not read this yet, but I will do. But you can stop this film and you can just read it yourselves. That was her sink where she'd wash up and whatnot. Again, this was on the top floor. So that was a window box, but this was the railing because there was a big grandfather clock here. And then you just look out into the garden. That was one of the views. Looking out onto the village. That was a family piano. That was what she was doing at the time when she died. But she did start to lose her eyesight as well. And she caught pneumonia. It was in December 1943, I think, or 44. When she caught pneumonia, she also suffered with a heart. And eventually died. And so obviously they've kept this out because that's what she was working on. These are her miniatures of her animals that she wrote about. And all the miniature things she picked up. Miniature pots. Some shells. That was the doll's house that was made by a friend of hers. Big one it was, actually. It's one of her books. And that was looking directly out onto her garden. This was a green gate here. And you go down into the garden. It was tiered. And everything's just as it was. The gardener who works there now has been there about 30 years. And he just continually plants or the plants themselves continually reseed themselves so that anything and everything grows. It's a little bit closer. Some of her paintings, because she was a good illustrator. I don't know who he is, but he stood looking up and I wanted him to get out of the way. This was a farm. This section is part of her farm. This is her walled garden. So, you know, I mean, she did own quite a lot of land. And she bought all the surrounding areas. And I'll let you read that. It's quite good. That was a beautiful old mirror. Was a family heirloom, I think, that one. And this was what was made a couple of years ago, which I think was what the original was like. I think it's been redone or something. You'd have to look it up. Now, a brother was very artistic as well, and these are his drawings, sketches. And they hang in the hall upstairs, leading into the main parlour. These are his paintings. They are huge. Huge, huge paintings. So he's very accomplished himself. You know. The parents were as well. They were very accomplished artists. Photographers. But as a grandfather or her father, you know, calico material, they were the biggest sellers of it in the world. So Beatrix Potter she wasn't just a little girl that suddenly had an idea. She came from an affluent family. She's actually related. She's a cousin so many times removed to Prince William's wife, Kate. The Duchess of Cambridge. She's also related, well, the Duchess was related to, you know, several other high-profile people. So, you know, they used to hire castles. They used to rent castles for you know, whatever the holidays were, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. You know, back in those days, in the 1800s, people used to go to the sea for the summer because it's good for them. They used to go up to Scotland for so long because it's good for them. Or they used to go grousing and hunting up there. So they used to hire, well, rent castles and God knows what. So she wasn't a nobody becoming somebody. She was already a somebody, but didn't like that life. She wanted to live as a farmer. She wanted to live writing books and doing her paintings and that. So yeah. But what I got the feeling when we were driving up the long road towards the house, or the little village, you could see why she wanted to do it. You could feel it in the air. You could feel it all around you. Sorry, just looking at that chair. That was a writing desk. But you could feel it. Nice old fire. Look at one of her owls. And what I was interested in was this rug here. See this rug here? We used to make them when we were children, that one. Remember doing them. It was using an old sack, cut it in half. My mum had stitched the edging over, or one of us would, and then we'd use old clothing, cut them into strips, and or blankets and that, and make these rugs with them. They lasted for years. I used to like doing them. That was the extension that she had built on, and this is a plaque for her that she had put on there so people could see. Again, the house. Now, when you come out of the door, when you come out of here and turn left, then you saw this path. That's by the front door here, and you walk down that path down to the main gate, the green gate, another green gate. Oh, this was in a garden. So the path went down and she had borders of everything. She had rhubarb and she had flowers mixed in and all sorts. That was the other side of it. It's only a small walled garden, but it's lovely. And it must have just, whatever she needed was there. That's her orchard. So the path that I was talking about is here on this side, on the left. And then the path going on the opposite side was the orchard here. So these were just all wild flowers and fruits and things like that. That was on the left going down towards the main gate. It's just beautiful. There was a lot of flowers out in bloom. I loved that. I don't know what it was called, but it was beautiful. And the old English rose, which you can't beat. Always try and get a good picture of that. All of these. So this is the path, and the borders were filled like that. And this is the this is the orchard here. This is the border, and then you had the path and the border on the other side as well, leading down to the main gate. That was all that colour. It was like a greyish colour. Just beautiful plants. This was made to look like it was built with the house. It wasn't. It's a recent building that they've put in. And this is a shop. So the path leads down to the shop, and the gate to go out of the property is around the back of that. So it's Hilltop was Beatrix Potter's retreat and inspiration from her first days here in 1905. The garden was as important as the house. Not one for a show garden, Beatrix preferred a traditional cottage style. You'll find fruit trees and vegetables growing in the flower borders, plus an odd weed here and there. Pete, Hilltop's gardener, has tended this garden for over 30 years. As you walk around, you'll see Beatrix's words among the plants and Pete's notes on looking after the garden, almost as she would have known it. That's the village when you come out of... what happens is this road here, that'll take you back out of the village. This is the field she would cross, and you go up. So I'm going to show you now. And that's that property she owned as well. This house is Castle, I think it's Castle, let me see what it's called. She also owned Monk Coniston Estate. It's huge, is that place. Right, from, like I say, this was the house when she got married where she lived, and she used to walk over here, over the, or through the wall, over the wall, whatever, to her own sanctuary. And it says Beatrix had a legacy left to her by her aunt, and from the sale of her books, she bought Hilltop Farm near Surrey in 1905 in the Lake District. She did live at number 2 Bolton's Gardens, West Brompton, but that was destroyed in the Blitz. Sorry about that. She also met a guy called Hardwick Rawnley, a vicar of Ray, and later founding secretary of the National Trust. She did have some critics, and her critics felt she used her wealth and her husband's position, who was a solicitor in London, to acquire properties in advance, before they were made public. So when a sale was coming up, she was told about it, and he, the founding secretary of the National Trust, encouraged her to buy it. And I never thought anything bad about Beatrix Potter, and until I started looking into this while we were there, and I just thought maybe she didn't know what he was up to, because they did become close, and he encouraged her to buy, and then, of course, she left it all to the National Trust. And it does make you wonder, if they're in the know about property before it's due on the market for other people, then of course they're going to befriend you, aren't they? And they're going to get you to leave your money and your property to them. Even that's just, I don't know, I just got a bad feeling about it. And maybe she was used. She was a woman, she was very business and astute, but you can be fooled as well. Especially when you've got somebody like the National Trust doing that sort of thing. A lot of people felt that way, so there must have been something in it. But, like I say, her critics felt she used her wealth and her husband's position to acquire properties in advance of their being made public. In 1930, the Healeys, because that's who she married, Healey, became partners with National Trust. So Beatrice and her husband became partners of the National Trust in buying and managing the fell farms around Hilltop. And she also bought, like I said before, the Monk Coniston Estate. So I just feel maybe she was blindsided by the attention. I don't know. I love it that they've done that. You can, you know, it's a beautiful place to go and visit, as you can see here on this picture. But for the National Trust, I just think they're a little bit, and they're terribly expensive, really expensive. Everything they sell, it's money, 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 money. So hey, I'm learning more and more about them. That was Barngates when I celebrated the Queen's Jubilee. Then we went to the chocolate factory at Hawkshead, and I bought some nice chocolate and fudge for my sisters. That was just another property that we passed. Really huge buildings, some of them. There was another one through the woods by the river. Again, the Swan. This was Welcome to Stott Park Bobbin Mill. Now, you will find for sale some of the bobbins I brought back from there. And you'll see the footage. They've allowed me to film it and put it up on my website. It's absolutely amazing. Very, very interesting. My father was a woodman. You know, he loved wood. He was a joiner. He trained with his uncle for 7 years when he was from the age of, I think it was 16 onwards. And he was a skilled woodsman. And I love the smell of wood. I work a lot with wood, and I must just get it from him, basically. But bobbins, you know, we love the bobbins. So I'm just going to quickly flick through this sort of thing. This lady here was telling us all about the mill. It was a huge place. And then she demonstrated on certain machinery. But you'll see it all. And all from grown wood that's local. These are, as the bobbins are being made, each section. All the different areas to do different things. The lathes that they were spun on. These are all the different bobbins they made. And then after that, they went into making other things as well. And they make so many million a week. So they're not natural woods that are around that estate, because you'll hear her say anyway in the video, she did say that they were purposely, all the trees were put there for this, for the mills. And there was 65 mills in Windermere alone, you know, in the Lake District, sorry, alone. Some of the stuff they've made. Here was a friendly man, went walking past. And then it was just, I went outside and these were all the things that you can read yourself. You can stop the video, just press stop and read and look at all the bits and pieces of information that's available. That's the hazel, sycamore, ash, birch and alder, or alder, or alder, whichever you say it. All the tree branches that they've cut. Owners and managers, of course. Victorian worker, the apprenticeship. That's what my father did, a 7-year apprenticeship. Men and boys of Stott Bobbin Mill. The fell maker of the lathe. Some of them were huge as well. Children working at Stott Bobbin Mill in 1906 when Beatrix Potter was around. Thomas Newby Wilson, grandson of John Harrison's sister-in-law, inherited the mill and remained owner until 1915. This is what it was saying. The demand for bobbins, thousands on a machine at Dean Mill, Manchester. Manchester was one of the main people that got the bobbins. For when, you know, obviously when they started doing things in big factories, didn't they? Oh, big saw there. And this big belt, huge belts there were. We happened to, in the car park when we pulled up, we happened to see this old car, and that we saw several on the road that yesterday, which there must have been a show somewhere. Nice old cars, classics. This little chap was running about as well, so not frightened of anybody. That's the wood mill. And then just some pictures going home. Oh, that was her chair with a hat on. That is Beatrix Potter, who wrote the children's books. As she got older. That was her dog. I think she was 9 there. That was her dad, Rupert, and her mum, Helen. She was about 14 there with her dog. 23 or 24 there. The Green Gate. The plaque she put up with the extension she had built. The miniatures. That was her husband. And they did actually, they were married for 30 years. But no children. And this was just before she got poorly and passed away with pneumonia. The fabric is far coarser than muslin, but less coarse and thick than canvas or denim. However, it is still very cheap owing to its unfinished. I don't know whether they should have said something else besides that. Right, there is a blue plaque for Edmund Potter, who was her grandfather, who was the mill owner and philanthropist. He was 1802 to 1883, and he founded Dinton Vale Print Works in 1824 and lived near this at Dinton Lodge from 1842 to 1861. And like I said, it's one of the biggest printing places in the world. And that's her grandfather. She did have 3 governesses over the years. A governess is a large obsolete term for a woman employed as a private tutor who teaches and trains a child or children in their home. A governess often lives in the same residence as the children she is teaching, in contrast to a nanny. Now, one of her last one was only 3 years older than her, and when she got married and had children, not Beatrice, but their governess, she had a couple of children, and Beatrice used to write letters to her, to the children, but including pictures, and that's how it came about. Her books, the first book. She sent her first book, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, to 6 publishers, and all refused to have her, but one did in the end saw, you know, what could be a hit, obviously, because he did take her on in the end. But when she was refused by the first 6, she self-published. So even back then, you could self-publish, and she did. She had 250 books printed, and then a further 500 after that, and then she was off on her way and made it big. She was also a farmer, and these were the sheep, the Herdwick, and it's a special breed, and they're not allowed to sell them, but it says the Herdwick is a breed of domestic sheep native to the Lake District in the northwest England. The name Herdwick is derived from an Old Norse Herdvik, meaning sheep pasture, though low in lambing capacity and perceived wool quality when compared to more common. I didn't finish, I just looked at that, so I didn't go on to read any more. Edmund Potter, like I say, was her grandfather, Manchester industrialist and MP, and grandfather to Beatrix Potter. So he was an MP. He actually was a Liberal. And there you can see she was related to the Duchess. Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, is a member of the British royal family. She's married to Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, second in line of the succession to the British throne, making Catherine a likely future Queen consort. But she was related. They were. Beatrix Potter, writer and artist. This was a plaque laid where a building once stood of 1866 to 1943 when she died. Lived in a house on this site from 1866 to 1913. Erected by the Boltons Association, the Beatrix Potter Society, and Frederick Wayne and Co. in 1988. Now, Frederick Wayne was the one that encouraged her to do her books. This was number 2, what did I call it? Number 2 Bolton Gardens in West Brompton, where she lived years ago, but was destroyed by the Blitz. These are the sheep that she won prizes with as well. There's Beatrix herself. This was Dinton Lodge, or Dinting Lodge. They used to hire that. Again with her mum and dad. So it says, who inherited Beatrix Potter's estate, and how much was Beatrix Potter worth when she died? She left most of her properties as a national trust. Beatrix Potter passed away on December the 22nd, 1943, aged 77 years old, from pneumonia and heart disease. Her net worth, $10 million. It just gives her, she was 77 years old. Classed as an illustrator, author, writer and botanist, besides a farmer. So, now it says, how is Kate Middleton related to Beatrix Potter? The Duchess of Cambridge counts Peter Rabbit creator Beatrix Potter as a relative. Kate's great-great-great-uncle, Dr. Arthur Lupton, was related by marriage to Lord Ashton, Beatrix's first cousin. Now, I do have something on the Luptons. I did look that up. Here we are. So, John Leach and Jane Ashton were married. They had a daughter, Harriet Ashton, and she married Lupton, sorry. She married Lupton. Thomas Ashton was a brother, was the first Baron of Hyde. And the Duchess of Cambridge will also, by marriages and whatever, Beatrix were also related to Jane Austen, another writer. And we all know her. So, yeah. They are all related. It's Lord Ashton, Beatrix's first cousin. Famous children's author and illustrator even made a gift of 4 drawings to the Duchess' distant cousins, Eleanor and Elizabeth. It says this isn't the first time that the Duchess has been linked to a literary figure. In 2011, it was revealed that she is a distant cousin of Pride and Prejudice author Jane Austen. Now, so that means that they are related and descended from Mary Boleyn, Anne Boleyn, one of the wives, the 6 wives of Henry VIII. She is a descendant of Mary and Anne Boleyn as well. So, there you go. Thomas Layton and his wife Elizabeth Knowles, the Duchess, is tied to Henry VIII's second wife, Anne Boleyn. Oh, that was just me. That was the rain. It rained all night. I was just watching it. I was fascinated how it was all joining in together. And, you know, running in together. Before it actually ran off. Watch, look. It's weird. And I was fascinated by it. Because we had no TV, I was sat watching it. Now, these are the films I'm going to show you. And I'll put those in tomorrow's video with this. Okay? So that's it. I hope that helps. Anybody who didn't know anything about her, you do now. Thanks for watching. Take care and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye for now.